Hello, hello. Happy Monday today on this gorgeously, terrifyingly cold Gainesville morning. But now it's 70 degrees.
Hi, Karen.
So, hi, Karen. 70 degrees in Gainesville. I don't know what it is in Tampa, Karen, but you can probably tell us it's beautiful and slightly chilly, but the perfect weather, right? This really is the perfect weather.
It does seem like it's perfect.
At 45 degrees this morning, it was not the perfect weather. I had like 3 coats on because I'm a Florida girl through and through. Anything below 50 is like negative 25 for me.
Yeah, anything, I'm going to agree. Honestly, even in the 60s, it's like a little chilly. But when it's sunny, like this is the ideal Florida weather.
Yeah, 70
sunny,
degrees.
Low humidity.
It's California weather, but you don't want to live there.
Yes, and it does get cool when the sun goes down, so I'm not a fan. Yeah. But I'll take this weather, or like blazing hot, but I don't do the cold.
I'm still in my sweater dress. It's actually still nice out there for a sweater dress. You can still wear it. I don't have to wear the big jacket or the big sweater on top of this now because of the 70s, but beautiful day outside, absolutely gorgeous, sunny, kind of crisp. Again, the perfect day. So here we are on the podcast, Rabell Realty Group podcast. 70 also. Nice. So I'm Kristen Rabell.
I'm Rebecca Johnson.
We've got Rebecca Johnson here, the Rabell Girls. And, we're happy that you're on here. Thank you. It's great in the sun. Yes, the sun makes it warmer. The shade, a little chillier, but still perfect. That's why I have to wear the sweater dress.
Sun. I like the sun. I like to feel it on my skin.
Yes.
All right. So let's start this Monday off like we start every Monday with our Monday Market Moment.
Hey.
Oh, that was really fast. All right. Let's take a look at the numbers.
Wow. Did that even play?
I was about to look at messages for a second. All right. Okay. So Monday, let's start in Tampa. So for the month of, oh my gosh, November.
Mm-hmm. Turkey month.
It's almost
Thanksgiving
it's like halfway
month.
over too. All right. So for the month of Thanksgiving so far in Hillsborough, Tampa area. Now this is South Tampa where we're primarily based, although we do service the northern part as well, which includes Wesley Chapel for all the Wesley Chapel friends out there. Please don't forget about us. So 294 active so far for the month of November. 586 pending and 471 closed. Still a pretty good, strong push for the market.
Not a huge change.
Not a huge change at all. And then going over to Ocala in Marion County, we've got 263 active for the month of November, 442 pending, 355 closed. Still strong. I mean, it is a slower time of year.
But the numbers are still aligned with what we've seen versus Tampa. Ocala is a really strong market still.
I'm going to go up to St. Augustine, who's been having some not so nice weather lately with their storms and their nor'easters that are flooding all the downtown stuff. So sorry about that, guys.
It always floods down there, unfortunately.
It's just, I don't know what you do about it, but kind of not fun. So in St. Augustine, they have 60 active, and this is St. Augustine Beach, kind of Butler Beach, Crescent area, not
St. Augustine City, right? Not up in Volano necessarily.
No. And basically 60 total. Remember, theirs are not for the month, but total. 32 pending and then 20 closed. This isn't their season, so it's not abnormal for them to see those types of numbers. But I do want to go to Gainesville because that seems kind of low for...
I know. I had to recheck it because I was like, that is super low. But you have to remember, we're still... switching over to the new
but everybody
MLS,
still should
you would think that they'd be coming on. I think it's a really low active number. Pending and closed, I can't really trust still, but that's
I don't trust the closed. The closed
they're all really a little. I think we're just still far off.
I'll be honest. I had a conversation with somebody over Instagram, another realtor in town, and he was telling me, he wrote in on one of our posts saying, "Where's this listing? I might have a buyer." He said that he's finding all of his listings on Zillow and on people's Instagrams because he's like, the new MLS is so much harder for us to use because we've been
transitioning over.
And it is a little different than how we've had to do it. I mean, I'll tell you, I have a listing in a subdivision, or we have a listing in a subdivision, and it's, Stellar would like us to put it in by its legal name based on the legal description. Well, I kept getting sent comps from this neighborhood And I went to look at, and there were 3 different descriptions of the neighborhood. Everybody had a different version of it.
Even one realtor had a different name.
Yes.
Which is kind of the same. So we work in Grand Oaks with 2 of the builders there. And one of them is listed as Grand Oaks. One is listed at Grand Oaks at Tower. And one is listed at Grand Oaks Gainesville. But they're all Grand Oaks. And then there's a Grand Oaks in High Springs. So I got a call. I feel like I've already told the story, but probably not online. But I got a call from a local title company who was closing in the Grand Oaks High Springs, and she called or texted him and she said, hey, can you give me the contact information for the HOA? And I was like, yeah, it's Vesta. You probably know how to get a hold of them. And she was like, oh, no, it's not Vesta. And she said who it was because it's a company we don't use a lot. And I was like, oh. She goes, oh, but it's in High Springs. So if it's Grand Oaks High Springs and Grand Oaks Gainesville, people are going to get really confused. I don't know how that affects our active pended closing numbers.
Saying, I think people are putting information in weird.
It definitely affects how we can look up listings right now. And we've said this for a couple weeks now, be gentle with your local Gainesville realtors, because we're learning stellar, like Ocala did probably about 2 years ago. And Tampa did 3 years ago. Right. Mm-hmm. So we're all fairly new to Stellar. Tampa's been in it the longest. And they've all pretty much figured it out and gotten over it. I know that we're going to have a really big problem with hail, because when you look in Hale Plantation, our neighborhood here, there's a bunch of little neighborhoods within Hale. And so if you're putting it in it used to be put in as HP, which was Hale Plantation / the name of the neighborhood within it. That's how you could look it up. But the legal description says Hale Plantation, and it gives you basically the legal description name of it.
And some of them are just numbers. They don't even have like a subdivision.
And so you don't really know where it is until you map it out, and then you can realize
that's basically what they said. We talked about this, and Stellar's basically like, use the map.
Use the map, right. So there's a little map, search. We'll figure it out. We'll get used to it. I think it's I don't want to say old as an age, but the realtors who've been around for a long time, even longer than we have, who are trying to who have so used to putting it in a certain way, versus the new realtors who, as they are learning, they're coming in and they're learning this, they actually have a little bit of an advantage, but at the same time, they're not going to know where things are because it's not going to be quite as clear as where they are.
Yes.
So like Englewood, that's also called Sugarfoot. What is it going in as? So now it's going to be probably the name Englewood will be completely decimated. It'll just be Sugarfoot. But there's 2 Sugarfoots. There's the Sugarfoot condo complex. You could say condo complex. That's a loose termination of it. Duplexes and quadruplexes, they're a great investment place. You might, have to tread lightly when you go in there, but I didn't say that. But then there's a really nice neighborhood of ranch homes right off of University and 34th, kind of 34th, 43rd, 34th. So 2 different places, and they're both Sugarfoot. So and it's really just the area, right? Arredondo is also kind of one of those. What part of Arredondo is it in? Is it the nicer area or the not so nice area? Is it the mobile homes or the stick homes? So
we're all about to get a re-education in how we're doing that. I think the hardest part is there's inconsistencies because
that's the way that people are putting it in.
And that's just going to be part of the learning curve. So, but Gainesville, you've got 86 active listings for the month of November, 166 pending, and 126 closed so far. I honestly think it's higher than that on the closed, but I think people don't want to transfer from what was in the old MLS to the new MLS. But, but yeah, so we'll see what happens as we continue to move forward.
Yeah, I think we'll really know next year when we've been in there for a couple months and using it. Lately, people are still using our old our Paragon MLS just for at least for data. So now, pretty much next week we'll be completely done with it, or is it today? Okay, it was this sometime. You're saying the 15th, which is today, but really it's the 18th.
I think it's the 16th.
The 16th. Okay. Well,
I just like to keep Savannah on her toes.
Savannah's one of the girls that works for us. Hey, Savannah, if you're watching. All right. So what do we have up? So my dad sent me this. Ivo Rabell. He's been a realtor since 1974. And this really showcases what's going on right now, but it's kind of humorous. When we've been talking about go get your Christmas shopping done, you're done with it. I'm not. I always kind of wait around to see what's out there. 'Cause anybody in my family cannot find something for them because they have everything. But getting out there and getting your early Christmas shopping done, because I've heard, like we've talked about this, we've experienced it, how stores do not have the supplies and they're not getting anything right now. So they're not nothing is coming to the stores for restock. So if you have something on your mind, and you want to go see it in person, it's probably going to be gone. So you may as well buy it. And then ordering on Amazon. I mean, I know in the case of appliances, we just ordered 12 microwaves for Grand Oaks and went back in, and we ordered them from a different supplier, and just today went back in and they were all out of stock. So even though we ordered them, they're all out of stock. So that's what we're seeing happening. And then obviously we all know what's going on in the shipping world, right? We've got all of the ships coming in, docking, but there's no trucks to pick them up. They are spending a lot more money sitting there with their employees on there, waiting for the shipments to be picked up from the ships. Just sitting there, and so they might be out there. The Christmas present you want to get for your kid or for your wife or husband or whomever, it might be here. It's just on a ship, docked. And then now they're going to different docks, right? They're not using the same ones. They're having to sort of disperse around so they can get everything off of the ship so they can go back. So it's becoming really, really expensive, which is just one of the many aspects of inflation right now. Right.
I will say, if you're ordering on Amazon, to check when you go to checkout what they're saying the delivery dates are, because sometimes it'll say Prime next day, and then when you get to checkout, it's like actually coming in January. So just keep an eye on those.
Yeah, so I thought this would be a funny way to talk about it. We've talked about it a little bit, but we're going to continue to see this, and we're probably going to continue to talk about inflation and how it affects us as Americans and buyers and homeowners as well, which I think our next topic really gets into that.
I will also say on Thanksgiving, get out there and get your spices, because I went this morning to buy like cinnamon, so the kids could do baked apples and stuff. Yeah, they had like nothing like spice wise, at least at the Publix that I was at. It was pretty
we're a little nervous. It was like, do we get all of the food for next week? This weekend we're going probably in the next day or two just to get everything, because we feel like the food supply is going to be a little low for Thanksgiving. When you're going in, you're all buying the same products.
Everybody in America is looking for pumpkin pie. Right. Is it pecan or pecan?
I say pecan. You can say pecan.
I say
tomato, whatever. I say pecan.
I know. I was told it depends how far south you were raised.
I don't know. Susan's from Waldo. My family's from Archer, but I'm from Gainesville. I'm pecan and she's pecan. So that's like literally,
what is it? Tell us.
15 miles.
Pecan
it's however
pecan?
You want to say it.
No,
I say it's pecan.
I want to know what
I'm going to tell you all day long it's pecan. You pecaners are you're wrong. You don't know how to speak English.
Well, everybody's out buying the same exact stuff, essentially. So make sure you're getting what you need.
And if it's not stocked up and we're not getting a restock, everything's going to be gone. So wait till I go to Publix, and then you can go to Publix and get all your supplies.
Nah, go to her Publix right now. Get there before you've got at least an hour.
We already kind of go to a bunch of different grocery stores for these holiday meals, but I feel like all of them are going to be just. You're not going to be able to find what you, like you're saying, with cinnamon sugar, anything that's everyone buys. It's going to be really hard to find.
Yep.
So do it now. All right. Actually, let's take a break, and then we'll come back. Is that okay? Let's do that. Perfect. We'll see you soon.
I was looking to join Rabell because I was at a large big box broker. I found myself a tiny fish in a big sea, so I set out looking to solve the problem of not feeling connected to my broker. I hadn't even met my broker. When I walked into Rabell Realty Group and the brokers were on site, there were agents in the office that were friendly and helpful, I knew I had found the solution to my problem. So what made me choose to work for Rabell Realty was really an encounter I'd had with Kristen early on in my career. I was showing a house and it was her listing, and she walked out and had her new baby strapped to her. Being a family girl and having a kid myself and wanting more, I knew I wanted something that was family friendly. And so that encounter that had happened early on in my career made me feel comfortable to know that wherever life took me, babies or no babies, I would have a place at Rabell Realty Group. I would recommend Rabell Realty Group to somebody else for the same reasons I found it. Synergy, heart, and hustle are our core values, and we really practice that here. The heart is here, I think, with everybody that works in this office. And the synergy, while we are not teams, so to speak, we work as one big team, and you just don't find that at other brokerages. I put my heart into everything I do, and Rabell does the same. You can tell with their branding, their marketing, the broker support of their agents. They're one of a kind.
All right. Thanks for coming back and joining us for the next half of our podcast and continuing talks about inflation. And, oh, look, that pecan is for pie, pecan for ice cream. Okay, I'll go with that.
I'm okay with that.
I'll go with that. And then pecan. Yeah, you're wrong, Tara.
No, you're not, Tara. You're right. Don't let her tell you that.
You didn't even know what it was said. You're like, I don't know how I said it.
Pecan. I think I say pecan. I say pecan.
Well, yes. You're from Tampa.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
That's what's wrong with us.
All right. So, with the pandemic and with the housing crisis, I guess you call it the crisis, the inventory crisis, a lot of people, and I think this was already coming, truthfully, and I think it really started with, in some ways, the Gen Xers, and then that middle ground where I'm in, I don't even know what I am, and then the millennials, really like, what is the American dream, right? It used to be the picket fence, the white picket fence in the little neighborhood, right out the suburbs, right? 4-3 home, whatever, but it's really changed. And I think it's exacerbated during this whole listing, inventory crisis and pandemic. And so now everyone is redefining the American dream. So it depends on affordability in a lot of ways. The fact that during the pandemic, you had a lot of people actually, way more than I expected, were cash heavy. I mean, think of all the offers that were made, and the house is already way overpriced, and then you're getting multiple offers, and you're getting somebody who's 20, 30,000 over list price, at least in Gainesville. Again, it was even more in Tampa, definitely even more in St. Augustine, and Ocala was pretty similar to Gainesville. So 20, 30 over, and they had that cash. So everything you're reading is about how people were saving so much during the pandemic, and they were able to work from home, which saved on like gas and
food,
travel,
clothes.
And food, clothes, right? So all of that savings became that cash, that equity to put it down. But it also changed where they were moving to. So we've talked about, being able to move out of state and moving wherever you wanted to. Right? Going wherever you wanted to live. You were able, remember when there was the tiny house movement?
Oh yeah, I remember.
Right. So that was kind of a new American dream. I would say that was more of a millennial movement, right? In some ways.
Y'all crazy.
And that was really not wanting to take care of a lot of house and yard, and they wanted something
Millennials
really
are
tiny.
Still like that,
right?
They
That's what I'm saying.
Spend all their time doing
it's still the same thing. I mean, there's still. I think the tiny house movement went away for a hot second, but it's back. So the American dream is kind of based on the person. So now the American dream, a lot of people went back to the idea of going and having a farm life, and it wasn't necessarily like in the city. The little city farm life. They were like, they're actually buying out and buying farms so that they can homestead. And I think, that kind of came with the pandemic and the fear of like, things are going away. We're not always going to have, and in some ways we kind of skirted the conversation about food. People are really wanting to homestead a little more. And then the high rise in this picture is really like, people are now living in the city. I'm not really Gen X, so don't even start.
Get her, Susan. Get her.
I'm too young for Gen X, but I'm too old for millennial. So I'm right in that middle.
They call themselves like Xennials.
No, I don't even know what they call it. I thought that was after Gen Xers or after millennials. But we'll look it up and we'll try to figure it out. But now people like moved away from the city in droves, right? Which made prices, you remember hearing about this last year, early this year. So the prices dropped, and all of a sudden now they're not so afraid anymore. A lot of people are vaccinated. You're getting your boosters. You're feeling a little, you've realized in 2 years, we're just going to have to live with COVID, right? It's a part of our lifestyle now. So now they're moving back, getting these places a little cheaper, and they're realizing, no, I actually want to live in the city. It's not because I have to. It's not because of any other reason, but I'm an urbanite. I want to. All right. My generation is said to not want to settle down and own anything, but just rent so they can get up and move. Right. Maybe that's why tiny houses are such a hit, or living in the city. That's what I'm getting at. So we've talked about this before. Also, a lot of whatever your age group is, Jamie, which is under millennials, under zillennials. We need to get these
She's a Gen Z.
We need to get these definitions down. Google it. You Google it for me.
Google it and post the results, Susan.
Yes. So they're it's really the idea.
I think Jamie's a young Gen Z.
Okay, a young Gen Z.
Or an old Gen Z, I think. I'm sorry, Jamie. You're not old, but you know what I mean?
You're not young, you're not old.
Yes.
You're still our baby. So they're wanting to rent. We talked about this, and it was after talking with Matt Barker and...
I've talked about it with Patrick, but I can't remember if we talked about it on the podcast.
I think we did. We did, right? A little bit about wanting to rent instead, even though there's no rentals now.
That started with the millennials, because what I read was that
the younger millennials.
The younger millennials, not the old ones like me. I'm on the very old part of us.
The very old, sure.
The very old. We're all about.
You're at the very 40. Beginning, and then there's the very end. So the very end ones started with that.
Because you have to think about it. Well, and it was really the middle ones even, because they were graduating, and then the economy tanked. Actually, that's kind of.
So this has been like a healthy flow. It just really exacerbated during COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So it's this idea of not what Jamie said.
You want to be able to move around. There's 7 parts of Gainesville. I've lived in 4 of them, but I've got a couple more on the list of places that I would like to live. So I have no problem saying, let's move. Let's live over here. Let's live over there. I also like to be on the water. So I'm I like it all, but
now,
I like
a lot
to
of
be able
people
to move.
are also, you hit one of the other things. Now there were only 4 that came up, but I think we're getting all of them because we know a lot more than that one person writing on that article. I just think we are. Oh, we know more. But the next thing is they're wanting to buy smaller houses, not so big. So now I'm not talking about the wealthy, like the high wealthy. They can buy that $3 million house or higher, and then also a $3 million property on the water, and then on, at
Who
the mountain
wants to
house.
take care of all that stuff, though?
Yeah. Well, you have an au pair. You can do, however you say au pair. You can do whatever you want. But, because you have that money. But I'm talking about sort of a more general, they're not impoverished, they make money. They want a smaller house, and then they also want something on the water, on the coast, right? Or it could be a lake house, a river house, a beach house, a mountain house, whatever, a valet in France. However, they're wanting to do that so that it's like one big house, but it's 2. And then I think the most curious one that I think is funny, but I'm noticing it more and more, are the ones who don't want to own a house per se. They want to own a van or a bus or an RV, and they want to travel everywhere.
I do know a lot of people like this.
Yes, you realize that. You were kind of shaking your head. I'm like, no, we know some people.
I don't want to do it.
No, right, but you don't want to. But there are some people, and because their business, what they're doing, they can be anywhere, and they're like, well, my job is out of Chicago, but I hate Chicago during the winter, so I live in a condo or a rental, but now I just want to get an RV, buy an RV or a bus. They're actually buying vans and buses, and they're making them into tiny houses with wheels and driving around and just parking at RV parks, parking on the coast, parking at Walmart, probably, wherever.
So now it's cool to live in your car?
Yes.
Or at your mom's?
You have it all, right? Park at your mom's house, right?
I've seen more multi-generational family, too, where people want to live with their parents or have their parents come live with them. Yeah, my whole theory on it is you never want a house that's bigger than you can clean in an afternoon. That's just me. I don't care if I have $3 million and 60 million houses or whatever, but I'm like, I never want something that, and I know that you can hire cleaning people, but I'm going to tell you a secret. They never do a good job as well as you.
No, they don't. They do a good job the first 3 times. And then even if you're not a cleaner, the 4th time you're like, whoa, did you even show up?
Yeah.
I find that true. Right.
Pretty true.
So yeah, whether it's the sign of the times or, I think it very much is the sign of the times. But what times? It could have been the COVID times, but I really felt like this was already happening, when, I guess you could say, when the millennials came in, which again, I'm not saying the millennials like you weirdos.
Sorry,
I'm just saying
for ruining everything.
It's the children of the Gen Xers. And the Gen Xers were already sort of restless. I mean, I don't know. I remember a Tom Waits song, if anybody knows weird old Tom Waits, love him. But he basically was talking about the guy who like was living that white picket fence, that normal life. And he just, everything he had to do it right, and he had to make the money. And then he ended up like blowing up his house because he was so tired of living the day to day that was the same exact thing over and over, and sort of like keeping up with the Joneses. I don't know what that is too. Susan, you're a country singer. Is this a country song? Because it's not that one. But, I think people really started desiring something other than just staying put in the one same house. And we've talked about this also with the amount of years people are staying in homes, right? When we started real estate in 2006, the average was like 7 to 10 years. Mm-hmm. And before we started, it was, 15 to 20. So it came down to 7 to 10. But now I really think it's 1 to 2 years.
I still think it's 3 to 5 for most people. But I had a seller describe herself as a gypsy to me because she sells every couple of years. And I'm like,
there you go.
I'm with you.
Right. There you go. So the American dream is not the white picket fence per se. It is for some people. But there's a couple of different ones represented here. I think there's even more. And again, Jamie, thank you for being a part of it because you hit the nail on the head with the rental life, the non-owning life. I have a friend he's my age in mid-40s, and he owned one time in New York City. He rented in Miami, owned in New York City, and then moved to San Francisco years ago. And he's lived in Airbnb before Airbnbs were really Airbnb, and he actually Airbnb'd it himself. No, he lived in a rental, Airbnb'd it himself. And now he's not allowed to. But he's lived there ever since. He never wanted to own. Now, granted, San Francisco, very hard to buy there. But I think you're seeing that in the smaller cities as well, not just the big cities. Kind of cool stuff. Interesting way to go. What do you predict for 2022?
Let's see, more chaos, probably. I know nobody wants to hear that, but I think it's going to get more chaotic. Sorry. I think the listing shortage will continue.
Right.
I think supply inventory will still be low. I think there will still be short-handedness for work. I was at Busch Gardens over the weekend, and a good portion of the rides were closed, and a lot of the little shops were closed. And the only thing I can figure is they didn't have help because the park was full. There were a lot of people there, so.
I really do think that's true. Although everything I'm reading, like these past couple of weeks, are saying that we have more help, more jobs available, and we're not as bad in terms of joblessness as we were before. But I'm wondering because
I don't know where all the people are.
They're not going to the restaurants. They're not working at the restaurants. They're not going to retail. Although
they're all Instagram influencers now.
Right. Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
And TikTokers.
Yeah, they don't want to work for government jobs. Anything that's not seen as beautiful, they're not working in. So we have one little last one. Is real estate a hedge against inflation? The whole... Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. We think so too. We're realtors. I think it's mainly if you can own income producing property. Multi-family property, that's like a buzzword, but it's actually 100% right on.
Yep, I blame Grant Cardone for making that a buzzword.
The only thing is that hedge funds are typically like you get together with a bunch of people, a bunch of investors.
You probably are going to have to do that to buy real estate. I've talked to several people whose theory is that prices are probably the lowest you're going to see in Florida for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm. And again, back to San Francisco, when I was there, 2.5 years ago, I was meeting people who San Francisco was allowing single-family homes to be subdivided into multifamily, and each person was able to buy their portion of the home. So 4 people got together and they bought one home, but they all had 4 different doors. They had different walls. So they had gone in and rebuilt the house to be a quad. And you see that down in Duck Pond.
Yeah,
we have one there. One of our properties we manage.
Yep, it looks like an old boarding house.
Old house, right? That was partitioned off into 4 different separate rooms. So that's what they're doing. But they're selling them. We're renting this. They're selling them, and they're able to 4 people buy in one house. So yes, that's already California, and the person who told you this, hopefully that's not that close to Florida, but yeah.
I've had a couple people talk about that, and I think they basically all agree that we're becoming like a California, New York, because we had such an influx.
Oh my gosh,
of people,
huge influx of people.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the census report.
I was just talking to someone the other day saying that people were being shipped to Florida to live here.
Only ship the hardworking ones,
Right.
please.
But yeah, so multifamily, we're getting a lot of leads asking for multifamily, and they're first-time home buyers. And I mean, it's a fantastic plan, fantastic idea. My very first sale was actually in Phoenix. I was talking about it earlier, poorly per se, but well, I mean, it is what it is. But there's a bunch of quads and duplexes in there, and they bought a duplex, and they lived on one side and rented out the other, and it helped pay for taxes, insurance. It was great investment for them. They were able to sell it for more, so that's sort of the hedge, is that finding something where that can still make you money as you live there. And so that's why people got into Airbnb. A lot of the Airbnbs where you live in the front, you rent the back, right? Or you rent the top floor or something like that. So you just have a door to it. But yeah, I think real estate is a hedge against inflation.
100%.
You're going to put your money into real estate, save it there, and it will keep our economy rolling. So yes, please keep buying properties, especially rental properties, because we have a manager right over there that will manage them. All right, one last little thing.
We have a new office in Tampa. If you follow us on TikTok and Instagram, you'll actually get some footage and inside scoop on it. So we moved to Henderson Boulevard over the weekend. We are off Tampa Street, which was sad. We enjoyed the downtown location, but this is going to be so much better for our customers and our agents. We have parking. We have multiple rooms. So it's in a more suburban area. It's in South Tampa. Beautiful. Lots of cute little things to do. The baby and I were down there, and so we went and checked out some places. Again, I'm not going to name too many of them because I want to share them on our TikTok and our Instagram page. So I will be rolling that out this week.
Yeah, so keep an eye out, and you could see all the fun stuff in Tampa.
But yep, so office is getting painted this week, and then signage will go up. So it's pretty exciting to us, and we'll do an unveil once it's all ready.
All right.
So.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for sticking with us and watching our podcast, and follow us on TikTok and Instagram and continuously Facebook so that you can see all of these great new updates with our Tampa office and changes, and can't wait to start decorating it. It'll be fun.
I think so. And if you have a property that you would like us to manage, you can reach out to K&R Property Management, where we invest in your investment at 352-213-6410.
Love it. And if you want to get into real estate in Tampa, Ocala, St. Augustine, or Gainesville, or want to join a team, or want to switch over to a new brokerage, you can email us at join@buysellrebell.com.
Well, looking to get social? I know we've already mentioned it, but you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
Like and follow. Thank you. And if you want to keep up with all the real estate local and just talk, chatter, conversations, stories, anything like that, follow our blog at buysellrebell.com/blog.
And if you are interested in having your own podcast, reach out to the Fiesta Media, Elio, and of course, the Fiesta. And don't forget to come on ours as a guest. We would love to have you and love to talk with you about it. And we can talk about all things real estate, Gainesville, Tampa, St. Augustine, Ocala. I know less about Ocala, but we'd still love to talk about it. So give them a call at 352-327-5089. And we want to thank them for the production of this show.
Right. Well, thank you. We'll hope to see you next week. Turkey week, Thanksgiving week. We'll talk about what we're thankful for and probably the worst foods for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Maybe the best also, but let's talk about the worst foods.
Let's talk about the worst.
That's
I already got
fun.
mine.
It's cranberries. Well, canned cranberries. What about yam? Candied yam.
Yuck. Sorry, Mom.
All right, that's 2 out of like 10.
All right. Well, we'll critique all the food and be ready to talk with you about it next week.
All right. We'll see you then. Bye. Thank you.